Welcome back, everyone, for another edition of Talk 122 with your superintendent. I am Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. I love doing these, and we haven't done one in a couple of months, I believe. So it's great to be back, on air and on the show. So with me starting out, this is our podcast today is going to be business service, kind of a peek behind the curtain. But we wanted to start off with a really big and important fundraiser that we got going on. So my friend here from Ralston Elementary School is going to talk a little bit about that. So if you could introduce yourself and what your role is in the district, and we'll start from there.
Sure. My name is Kim Woodkey, and I'm the Targeted Support Specialist at Ralston Elementary. I'm also the coordinator for the GSA Club at Ralston. GSA, it kind of has a couple different names. It could be Old School Gay Straight Alliance. It's now Gender Sexuality Alliance, and we're also called the Ralston Allies as well. Do you want me to talk a little bit?
Yeah, talk
Perfect.
a little bit about, yep.
Sure.
Absolutely.
We are a club. We have 4th through 6th graders in our club. We meet almost every Wednesday after school, and they are holding a big supply drive. So their one goal this year is they wanted to connect more with the community. So they did some surveying each other, and they wanted to kind of pick a place that they could raise funds for and supplies, and they chose the Noah's Ark sanctuary, the animal sanctuary. So they are holding a huge supply drive. It goes to the end of the month, so they're looking for newspaper, Fabuloso soap, laundry detergent, newspaper, dog and cat food.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're really excited about it.
This is awesome. And so with the audience who wants to be a part of this, how can they be a part of this?
You can drop off supplies anytime during the school day at Ralston Elementary. The secretaries will take the items. They call the kiddos down, and we've got a big room where we're holding all of the supplies.
Awesome. And I happen to have an opportunity to see the kids and paint my rock and things like that. And so I'm hoping to get back soon and interact with them and see how they're doing. But It's always great to be a part of something like that. And I'm glad the kids are doing well. And I think the fundraiser hopefully is a big hit in any way that we can help. Please let us know, okay?
Perfect. No problem.
So is there anything final that you want to say about it?
No, just spread the word so we can make this one of the biggest, supply drives that Noah's Ark has ever had.
Love it. And this is definitely being a part of this episode with doing a peek behind, the curtain of how, business services is run and things like that. So I really appreciate you doing that. And so, like I ask every guest, who's your favorite person in the district?
In the district?
In the district. Gotta give just one.
What?
Just
You
one.
can't-
One favorite person
Can
in
I
the district.
can I play the I'm new card?
Well,
because
let's-
I just don't know anybody.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I do
We'll
have to
that.
say I
Yeah.
appreciate you and Scott very much because you
Okay.
have supported our GSA club
Okay.
the whole year and a half that I've been here. So
Okay.
I appreciate you both
All
very
right,
much.
so I'll take that. And then finally, before you go, everyone takes a shot on the ESPN hoop here.
hold on.
So let's see what
Okay,
you got.
do you
here.
have any tips for me?
Aim for the center there, the square.
Just
Yeah?
like normal,
If
okay.
you would aim for the square, you might have a chance here. Ooh, you might want to try that.
Okay,
again.
I was hoping you'd give me another chance. I wasn't sure. I'm not
That's all right.
okay.
There we go. All
Yay!
right.
What do I win? Do I win anything?
Well, you win actually when this is broadcast. Everyone will see you make it.
Yes,
So
okay, I made
so
it.
we'll let the kids know, and you let the kids know, and they can
Perfect.
look at that, and they'll say you're their hero.
I
So-
better be.
So again,
Perfect.
thank
Thank
you
you
for
very
coming
much.
on, and please donate as much as you can to the GSA fundraiser, and I'm going to do it so as well. And
Thank
so,
you.
so thank you. All
Thank
right.
you. Appreciate it very much.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Again, thank you to Kim for the GSA fundraiser and giving us that information. And as I told you before, this episode is about kind of taking a peek behind the curtain with our business service department, and we have our very own Mr. Josh Aran here to talk to us a little bit about how your department really works with supporting our kids and students, right, behind the scenes, because a lot of people don't know, right? Like you're in charge of our finances and our money and making sure everything gets balanced out correctly, and which is a very tough job, but I think very rewarding as well. And so, if you could just introduce yourself a little bit more to the audience, the camera right there, I think, is yours, and you just go from there.
Sure. So my name is Josh Duran. I'm the Chief School Business Official. I'm finishing my 15th year in this position. So my department oversees transportation, food service, technology, operations and maintenance, and the business office, so day-to-day accounting and long-term projections and anything money related, basically.
Good, and people love to hear about that. And so when you're thinking about some of the big questions you get, right, both from the community and maybe even from schools, what would you say you would really want people to know just about the finances and how that works within our district?
Sure. A lot of this is how do we balance money that comes in, whether it's taxes, money from the state, and then how do we spend those funds? So whether it's staffing or departments or building budgets, and making sure that we account for all those things, and then look into the future too to make sure that we're planning far enough in the future. So, a lot of it is property taxes, because that's a big source of our funding, and how do we use those funds and do that.
So thank you for that. And so we have some exciting, I think, things coming up, right? Specifically with our buildings and things of that nature. So talk a little bit about what you're most excited about, as far as some, upgrades and things within our facilities.
Sure, and that's a big piece of what we do on a day-to-day basis too, is what do the projects look like that are coming up this year, next year. So we have a good portion of our playgrounds getting updated in the next 3 or 4 months. We're replacing updating a couple sets of restrooms at our middle school. We're beginning a painting project at our middle school where we're going to refresh that and start color coding some of the hallways over the next few years.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Yeah.
We're working on starting to put a gymnasium on Rock Cut, which is the first just gymnasium that we've added to help ease space and lunch issues, and I think that's going to be a great addition there. And then we have our large CTE project at the high school, which is going through the bidding process right now, which will begin hopefully next month, and then we're looking at that to end July of 2024. So that's the biggest addition really since 1999, 2000, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and thank you for that. And a lot of people don't know, like you are hands-on with all of those processes, right, from start to finish, and how we get the funding and all those good things.
Yeah.
And so that's good. And so in thinking about our history, one of the things I want you to comment a little bit on, because it's been a while, is our field turf, right? Because that was big.
Sure.
When we got our field turf, and I think there's still area districts who are trying to do what we did, right? And so if you can talk briefly about like why that was important, for us to move from grass, to artificial turf, and then also where do you see that, in the next, 5 years? Like, is there
Sure.
upkeep, things like that? So that.
Yeah, absolutely. The field turf, time flies because it's been like 7 years since we've done that. So I think the field turf project, from how we funded that and fundraised almost $700,000 for that, was a great success. And a lot of things that we said, at that time about how much we would use it and who would use it, I think that's pretty much come true. So the field at year 7 is holding up, I think, great. That 5-year mark is probably right about when we'll have to look at what do we do with the top part of that.
Okay.
But as of right now, everything is testing well on it, and
Okay.
it seems to be great. So at some point, we'll have to replace just the top of it.
Okay.
Because 12 years was kind of always, 10, 12 years is kind of what my mind had been in terms of what I thought it would last, and
Gotcha.
I think that's easily going to be 12.
Gotcha. All right. So now let's have a little fun with you. I mean, it's my show, so I like to do that a little bit. If the audience noticed, or if you've tuned in before, we always have some bobblehead figures and things like that. And so since, Mr. Rand is our honored guest, he actually brought along his very own bobblehead here. And so tell us a little bit about why you picked this particular bobblehead, because I've been in your office, so I know you have others, right?
Sure,
So why
sure.
this one?
I have quite a few Blackhawks ones. We're pretty big Blackhawks fans in my house, and in 2015, I got to actually see them win the Stanley Cup at the United Center. So that was kind of like the most exciting game I've ever been to. So
Okay.
these bobbleheads are from their training camp before the season starts, they typically let families come into the United Center and they go through like their normal pregame stuff, and then they give bobbleheads. So it's a good opportunity to take the family and let them kind of see what a game's like before the season starts. So
Okay.
I knew in 2015 that they were probably towards the end of that run, and it's been a little disappointing lately, but
Okay.
we still like to go and watch the Hawks. So
Perfect. Okay. And so when you think about, and a lot of people know this, but not probably our audience, but you were a student in Harlem.
I was.
Right? And so I think you played football. Any other sports did you play?
I threw shot put my senior year,
Okay.
and Lyle Rich was my shot put coach.
So shout out to Lyle Rich,
yeah,
wherever you are, and if you watch this, and so that's cool. And so the question I want to ask you, about with that piece is, as a student, coming through Harlem, did you ever think that you would work in Harlem, have the
No.
job that you have, and all those things? Initially, what did you want to do?
I don't think many people thought that this would be right. Originally, I wanted to do computer science, and so out of high school, I went to Arizona State to look at computer science, and quickly realized after a C++ programming class that wasn't my gig. So
Okay.
we went the accounting route, and then I worked at Fifth Third Bank, and so a guy named Nick that worked there, his wife actually had this job that I'm in now.
Okay.
So that we made that connection. I started as an intern, and then that led to an accounting job where I learned a lot of the core basic parts of this job. So
Gotcha. And so, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you obviously coming back. We love Harlem grads, and if you're out there and you are going into business and things along the lines that Mr. Rand has mentioned, see, you can find a job at Harlem. Not replacing him, obviously, he's still got some years left here, but you can still find a job where you can still come back and work in the district. And so I appreciate that piece. And so now getting back to that mindset of a student, right? And working, and being a student in our district and now working in our district, right? And with your job specifically, what would you want kids to know just about, your job, the people that you supervise and that you mentioned as well? What would you want kids to know just about the business side of things, like a peek behind it?
Sure, that's a really good question, because a lot of the things that we do are kind of behind the scenes, right? So first of all, knowing that these positions exist and that this work is happening behind the scenes, because I didn't know that when I was a student here. And so I've had kids over the years, whether it's an assignment or come into the office and kind of go through some of those things and learn that. And just to see how everything is made, or like how we do the day-to-day pieces of the business and operations of it, so that the job exists and that it is an option for people too, if you like accounting or you like the operations piece. Because while I oversee accounting is a fairly small part of what I do. A lot of it is the operations piece or the long-range planning and projects and stuff like that too. So it really gives a good mix of things to work on. It's not one thing on a day-to-day basis.
Right. And so it's like you said earlier, whether it's being in charge of how the plowing and things are going, with our buildings when there's bad weather and things like that, transportation, our food service, that all falls under your umbrella. And so that's a lot of things that goes on. And so I appreciate you being on and explaining that to everyone. And so, we have a little fun all the time. Who's your favorite person in the district? Now, I want to make sure that because the audience don't know this, right? You have kids, obviously, that are in the district as well, and
I do.
And your wife is in the district. So this is kind of So we shall see.
I'm going to say my wife is my favorite person in the district.
That's a good answer.
And regarding my wife, we did meet at the high school too. So
Okay, that's awesome.
and that it's an interesting. My perspective now that I have kids that are going to school here versus when I went here too, it's just interesting because we see the education system differently than when you're a student here versus working here. And my wife, having taught here for so long too, it's an interesting perspective and a helping guide our 3 kids through
Okay.
school too.
So shout out to Miss Arand, and,
Yeah.
and you know I'm gonna spill the beans too, and I think everyone needs to know, like, Miss Arand is at Marquette, right?
Yep.
And I do want to say that even though Mr. Arand is in charge of all of our money, all of them upgrades don't go to Marquette. So just so you know, right?
Yep.
But that's cool. So again, thank you for being on. Is there any final words that you want to say to the audience?
No, like me working here and having all these ties to the district has been an honor to be able to help guide my piece of this. It's a big district, and there's a lot going on, and anything I can do to help advance it in a good direction, I'm very happy to do.
Perfect. I'll say. So you get to get your shot here. I mean, the last person made it.
I made the first warm-up shot, so that
He
almost
did.
guarantees.
I can vouch for that. He did make the warm-up shot. So let's
I'm
see.
a little concerned.
You came close.
Now, she made it on the second one, right?
Yeah. There we go.
All right, there we go.
I want to say this is probably the first episode where I had 2 guests that made it. Maybe I'm
Okay.
wrong. You guys, yeah, we've been doing this, so that's good. And so again, thank you for being on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
So like always, I appreciate everyone that tunes in. Again, this is a way for us to get communication out, and for those in the audience to kind of, in this case, peek behind the scenes of things that goes on in the district that you really may not know about and may have an interest in. So like always, I am Harlem, you are Harlem, we are Harlem. Thanks for tuning in.